Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Welcome to our ICNA I Love Weekly Quran Tafsir program. Jazakallah khair for joining. And today we are going to continue Surah Al-Araaf, and today we are discussing from ayat 138 to 143. And brother Dr. Shahid Rafiq will be discussing inshallah. You can go ahead, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
وجاوزنا ببني إسرائيل البحر فأتوا على قوم يعكفون على أصنام لهم قالوا يا موسى اجعل لنا إلها كما لهم آلهة قال إنكم قوم تجهلون
رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه آمين يا رب العالمين. Inshallah, in today's discussion, we are going to talk about a very important subject related to our Iman, and that is Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this very first ayah that which we are going to discuss today, after Bani Israel have gone through all the trials and tribulations of Pharaoh, and they have passed the sea, and now they are safe with Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. During their journey, they come across a nation which was idol worshipper. So immediately they asked Hazrat Musa alayhi salam that why don't you make one god like the one they are worshipping, so we can relate to God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a very interesting discussion happening between Musa alayhi salam and the nation Bani Israel. And you can imagine there are a couple of very important, aspects that I want to discuss today. One is, after they have lived under tyrant Pharaoh, the slave mentality they have developed, it was very challenging and difficult for them to get over with that mentality, that colonial mentality, the mentality of slavery. And during that slavery of Pharaoh, they had developed, some mindset, and that mindset became their comfort zone. And even though they had seen all the miracles of Musa alayhi salam, even though they have seen what Pharaoh has done to them, and they knew that with them is a messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but still they were not able to come out of that mentality. And immediately when they had the chance to ask Musa alayhi salam, and this was not their first demand, as we will go through ayahs, we will understand that this was their way, this was their approach, this is how they used to behave, to demand and to ask Musa alayhi salam. And they had no shame on that. Thereafter, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to remind later on, but still. So the point here is, which lesson for you and me, somebody who lives in under slavery, it becomes very difficult for them to come out of it. And that could be, even if we see in India, Pakistan, after we have lived for 200 years under British Empire, even today, even the second generation, for them it's difficult to come out of that mentality. And you can see the difference of generation raised with full freedom, and the generation raised under colonialism or under slavery. This is one point. The second very interesting point, which I want to highlight here, that throughout the history of humanity, you will realize that humans have always tried to find somebody related to God, or who can connect them with God, or they have considered that thing as God, who they can relate easily. I was reading one book of Sayyid Abul Ala Maududi, Rahmatullah alayh, four fundamental concepts of Quran. And in those four concepts, he has talked about illah and Rabb, the concept of illah and Rabb. Throughout the human history, humanity has always acknowledged, at least vast majority of them, has always acknowledged that there is a God. There was always a concept of Allah, Rabb. Most of the time we do shirk. We associate people with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala under the definition of ilah. That yes, the creator of everything is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but then he has some assistants that who can help him to execute his plan. He has some middle people, they can help a common human being to get connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now titles have changed for this ilah. Sometimes there were idol worshippers, they have statues to worship. Sometimes they have some personalities of their time and they have made them as ilah, the middle person between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes they have identified some dead people and they have identified those people as the ilah or the assistant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or certain places. And sometimes they have made their ulama, their scholars, so they consider them, or they give them the status of ilah. So whatever the very famous hadith of Adi bin Hatim radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, when Quran says these people of the past have made their shuyukh, their scholars, their ulama as the God, Adi bin Hatim says to Prophet ﷺ, we never did that. And Prophet says, you don't take the rulings of your shuyukh, your imam, as the final authority, as compared to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When they make something halal or haram, when Allah has made those things halal and haram, and they bypass Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you take their rulings, that is what the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about. So this concept we have to understand, brothers and sisters. Throughout the Quran, there is one single message. Throughout the Quran, there is one single message, and that message is of oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is a repetition of it in different ways, because this is the most important message that you and me, we have to understand. Allah does not allow even his messengers, let alone a common human being, let alone any statue or idol, that he will allow to be associated with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to make this very clear in our mind. In my programs, a lot of times people ask, can we ask dua to Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Can we make him wasila for our dua? Can we make our Pir Sahab or our XYZ as a wasila to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? My brothers and my sisters, let me tell you what I have learned in my life. You will never go wrong. You will never go wrong if the focus of your duas, the focus of your manajat, the focus of your needs The focus of your ibadah, the focus of your parastish is only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah will never ask you on the day of judgment that why you did not make dua to my prophet, why you did not make dua to XY Sheikh or Pir Sahab or that shrine. Allah will never ask you this question. So if you and me, we can protect our iman just by associating ourselves, connecting ourselves with directly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That Allah does not need any middle person. You and me, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided us all the provisions that we need in our domain to reach to the highest place in Jannah. A billionaire, a sheikh, or any scholar, whatever opportunity he has to reach to closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a common Muslim, a common human being, a poorest of the poor person who may have the least knowledge of anything, but to him also Allah has provided all the potential in his domain, in his reach, in his access, that he can reach to the highest place of Jannah. So we all have to be very clear about this, my brothers and my sisters, as this ayah is saying when they asked Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam says, Qala innakum qawmun tajhalun, that you are the ignorant people, that you have seen all the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you still want to go back to that ignorance, that jahiliyyah, that after all this struggle that I have brought you out of that, and you are still, your mind, your hearts are still stuck in that ignorance. The next ayah in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says,
إن هؤلاء متبر ما هم فيه وباطل ما كانوا يعملون.
In this ayah, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam actually addressing Bani Israel, that the people you want to become like, what you are asking, let me tell you the destination of these people. These people are on the wrong path, and they are soon going to get doomed because of ma kanu ya'malun, because of their amal, because of their wrongdoings, because of what they are doing. So they will all face destruction. They will all face wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of what they are doing. So do you want to follow their path?
Those worshippers, destroyed is that in which they are engaged, and worthless is whatever they were doing.
In the next ayah, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam talks to his nation, and he says,
قال أغير الله أبغيكم إلها وهو فضلكم على العالمين.
and this is what every Nabi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said to his nation. When their nation was asking something strange, that do you want me to find you Allah subhanahu other than Allah for you to worship? And you should be appreciative that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you the highest status. وَهُوَ فَضَّلَّكُمْ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ, that on whole humanity Allah has given you the highest place. And is this the way to act? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showering his bounties on you, he is giving you the highest status. Is this the return that you want to give to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Is this the way to be shakir to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on all of his fazl, all of his nema, that he has showered upon you, and you want to have idol or something which is other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that means you are not appreciative. You are not even understanding the value of you as a nation, the status Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. And this is a sign of ignorance, the sign of heedlessness, ghafla, and jahal. In the next ayah, Quran says,
وَإِذْ أَنْجَيْنَاكُمْ مِنْ آلِ فِرْعَوْنَ يَسُومُونَكُمْ سُوءَ الْعَذَابِ يُقَتِّلُونَ أَبْنَاءَكُمْ وَيَسْتَحْيُونَ نِسَاءَكُمْ وَفِي ذَلِكُمْ بَلَاءٌ من ربكم عظيم.
now here, the first Hazrat Musa was reminding them in the previous ayah that look at your attitude, look at your behavior, look how heedless you have become, that Allah wants to raise you, and you are the people, they are going again, towards the filth, towards things which Allah does not like, to lose the status in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself is reminding them of the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on Bani Israel. Whenever we go through these ayahs of Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to remind somebody of his favors, you can imagine how low as a human being we go, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself has to remind us that look at my favors on you, and you are still want to go towards the fire. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to them that we saved you, wa iz anjaynakum min ali fir'aun, the afflictions of ali fir'aun, we saved you from their azab. وَيُقَتِّلُونَ أَبْنَاءَكُمْ وَيَسْتَحْيُونَ نِسَاءَكُمْ. They used to kill your males, to boys, and they used to let nisa, the girls, live. So they were actually they were killing your whole generation. And indeed, that was وَفِي ذَلِكُمْ بَلَاءٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ عَظِيمٌ. That was the very severe trial from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved you, protected you, brought you out of the tyranny, the afflictions, trials, tribulations of Pharaoh, and he has now given you a freedom. You are free, but still your minds and your hearts are still in that condition of slavery. And Allah is reminding them that you should come out of that mindset. So the next ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying,
وواعدنا موسى 30 ليلة وأتممناها ب10 فتم ميقات ربه 40 ليلة وقال موسى لأخيه هارون اخلفني في قومي وأصلح ولا تتبع سبيل المفسدين.
now here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about when Allah called Hazrat Musa alayhi salam to meet him. And that meeting was for 30 days. And Musa alayhi salam reached to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sooner than the time that he was supposed to come. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had shown some dissatisfaction, some whatever you call dissatisfaction or little anger. I don't want to use this harsh word of anger, but definitely Allah has shown very soft anger about it, that you are supposed to come and you came earlier. And then Hazrat Musa alayhi salam explained why, that he was eager to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so he came sooner. Now here, very delicate point which I want to highlight. Anbiya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are the mizan. They are the trend setters. So we cannot imagine because they are masoom, they don't do anything, which is sinful. But even for good things, which are for pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if they cross the middle line, the middle path, even they were corrected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you can imagine he came early to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is obviously, apparently, there is nothing wrong in that. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to correct that behavior. That whatever is your assignment is, that assignment should be done the way it is prescribed. So you cannot, with your own wish, increase what Allah is commanding. Even it's for good. Because Nabi is a mizan. And if Nabi will do little more, his future generations might, do more ghulu and do even more than that. So that is one point, that we have to understand, that even Anbiya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala were not left alone if they have gone far, even for something good. They were corrected right away. Now there is another point which I want to highlight here. When Hazrat Musa alayhi salam was leaving his nation, and he وقال موسى لأخيه هارون نخلفني في قومي وأصلح ولا تتبع سبيل المفسدين. Musa alayhi salam knew his nation. He knew the weaknesses of his nation, and he was worried and concerned. And that's why he is giving assignment to his brother Harun alayhi salam, that when I am not here, watch my nation. This is a quality of a leader, that he should know his team. He should know the strength and weaknesses of his team. And he should do his best to take the precautions. Of course, not everything is in your control, but you can do whatever is in your control, whatever you can do. So Hazrat Musa took some steps because he was worried and concerned because of the attitude and the behavior and the way Bani Israel was acting. So because of that concern, he shared his concern with Harun alayhi salam, and he assigned him a duty that keep my nation on the right path and make sure they don't, get towards corruption. And we know rest of the story is not mentioned here, what happened when Musa alayhi salam left. One of the point that we also want to highlight here, that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked Musa alayhi salam that why you came sooner, because there was a possibility that his nation can only handle, departure of Musa for only so long. So it was better for somebody who is a leader to be with the team, and leave them only to the time frame where they can handle it, so that they don't go astray, they don't go in the wrong direction. So if you leave them unchecked, because role of Musa alayhi salam and the status of Musa alayhi salam, the way Bani Israel used to take the command of Musa alayhi salam, of course they will not listen to Harun alayhi salam in the same spirit. So it's a little difference when it comes to Musa alayhi salam present there, or in his absence when Harun alayhi salam is trying to protect them. There is a big difference there. So in the next ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says,
ولما جاء موسى لميقاتنا وكلمه ربه قال رب أرني أنظر إليك قال لن تراني ولكن انظر إلى الجبل فإن استقر مكانه فسوف تراني فلما تجلى ربه للجبل جعله دكا وخر موسى صعقا فلما أفاق قال سبحانك تبت إليك وأنا أول المؤمنين.
now here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the rest of the story. And Musa alayhi salam, he finished his time when he came to spend time with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Qala Rabbi Arini. So here I want to highlight one very important thing. Qala Rabbi Arinin Zur Ilaik. Can I see you with my eye? Scholars have written 2-3 things here. One, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam has talked to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so many times that now he is feeling comfortable. He is feeling comfortable, and he was feeling like that he can, share his wish to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is another aspect why Musa alayhi salam asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about, seeing him with his own eyes, because Bani Israel were asking him this question again and again, that you talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again and again, why don't you give us this opportunity that we can see and talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So this question was not purely coming from the heart of Musa alayhi salam, but this was also representing the wish of his nation, Bani Israel. So that's why Musa alayhi salam, shared this wish with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And, I was thinking about one thing, whenever I read these ayahs, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. We know this eye can handle only so much of radiation. This eye, after so much radiation, it goes blind. But for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nothing is impossible. He is the creator of these eyes. If he wanted, he could have allowed Musa alayhi salam to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, refused? There is a hikmah. When you demand as a human being, our demand never ends. One demand you accomplish, the next demand is there. And there was a very good possibility that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fulfills the demand of Musa alayhi salam, his nation is going to ask the same thing. So, and we know the Jalal, the Noor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is such, let alone any Nabi, even Jibreel alayhi salam cannot go beyond certain line. So, it's almost in this dunya, what we see, what we, go through, it's impossible. Yes, on that day, after our reckoning, when we will be in Jannah, we will be able to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the eyes that Allah is going to provide us over there. And there was a question asked to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how so many people will be able to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, at a time? What a reply of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, what do you think when whole world sees moon at a time without any problem? So same way, all the humans born from start to end, they will be able to see because Allah will give power to their eyes at that time. Here, I want to also highlight one more thing. You know, you will experience in your practical life people who ask too much, too many demands, too many prerequisites, too many ifs and buts in their discussions and demands. These people, mostly I have seen in my experience, that you might have seen as well, they are really not looking for truth. People who are sadiq, people who are sincere in their heart. I'm talking about, as a nation. I'm not referring here just to Musa alayhi salam, because Musa alayhi salam is referring, in this question to his representing his nation. So I'm talking about the behavior of Bani Israel in general, about asking question and demanding things with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you and me, we have experienced. People Allah likes are the one, they, when it is a command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, samena atana, amanna saddaqna, they listen and they obey. When command is given, they are ready. Labbaik, Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik. They are ready to become nahnu ansar Allah. They are ready to become ansar Allah, ansar of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are ready to answer the call of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They don't put conditions. They don't demand that if we will get this, then we will do this. This is not a business transaction when we are dealing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When the person has worked on his heart, then this heart becomes a mirror to show him the right direction, to show him the truth, to show him the light as a light, the darkness as a dark. And these are the people that jump. If they see the truth, they automatically incline towards the right thing. And they by default hate and want to go away anything which is disliked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And look at, the reaction of Musa alayhi salam. And this is the quality of, Rabbani, people who are people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the same attitude we have seen when we go through the story of Adam alayhi salam. That as soon as they realize that this was their mistake, they should have not done this, they should have not asked this, they immediately acknowledge their mistake and they go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. And immediately he says to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Qala subhanaka tubtu ilayka wa ana awwalul mu'mineen. The Ya Rabbul Alameen, you are the one who is free from any defect. Subhanak. You are free from any shortcoming. You are the perfect. And I am the one who is wrong. And I want, forgiveness. I want forgiveness and I submit myself. I am the first one to submit myself against the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives us tawfiq that we can get one message from today's session. That Tawheed is the most important message of Quran. And as I said, Wallahi, if you can write this sentence with and highlight in your mind, in your heart, wherever you can put it, so it can remind you that you will never go wrong. That if you make focus Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for your dua, for your manajat, for your all of your needs, make focus to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't need anybody. Allah will not ask you on the day of judgment that why you did not make dua to my Nabi or my Pir Sahab or my Sheikh Sahab or my Alim Sahab or that shrine, why you didn't go to that shrine of XYZ. Allah will not question you about all that if your iman is pure and you have not associated anybody with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you have only connected directly to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa akhiru dawana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh, Dr. Shahid Rafiq, for the beautiful explanation. If anyone have a question, please add in a comment section so we can ask inshallah. I have few questions. The first question is, as you mentioned in this ayat that Bani Israel wants to follow the trend of the people of idols, as also we saw the Muslims, we also want to follow the trend of the dunya. So what your advice to our young generation or parents about this regards?
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum. Ji, I think it's a very good question. That, idols, they change titles, they change shape and title. So we know that we, in this time and age, we cannot have statues as idols, but we have made many other idols, for ourselves. And don't take me wrong, I'm not discouraging. We all should take our portion of this dunya. This dunya is also one of the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should take full advantage of that. But we should not make this dunya the only thing that we are worried about. Or we take people here or things here and we sacrifice everything of our deen, our ikhlaqiyat, our morals, our values. That means that we have taken these things as more power, because definition of Rabb and definition of illah, if you read, it's not just ibadah, that you have taken Rabb. In Quran, for Firaun, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used word Rabb. Rabb means that you have taken somebody other than Allah as a power, as a source of strength, as a source and means that this is something that can do miracles for me, that can do things for me. Our focus should be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, we will use all the resources of dunya, but we will not sacrifice for this dunya our principles, our morals, our values. And Raziq is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir. Everything is in His power. I will do my part, but end of the day, my eyes will be on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are mute.
Okay, sorry. The second question is, why one not understand the truth even when it looks very obvious?
Jazakallah is a very important question. If you remember in the beginning, I read dua. Allahumma arinal haqqa haqqam warzuqna tiba wa arinal batila batilam warzuqna istinaba. This is the dua taught by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ya Allah, show me haqq as haqq and make me follow it, and batil as batil and make me to avoid it, to bypass it, to ignore it. There are two reasons why people, even if they see truth in front of them, but still they become heedless and ignorant. Two reasons: either because of jahl, which is ignorance, or because of ghafla, which is heedlessness. And let me tell you, jahl, ignorance, is less severe than ghafla. People, they know what is right, but they still ignore and bypass. Like in our culture, we see there are many things we do because of the family pressure, or this is a tradition and trend of our family, and this is what our forefathers have done. Even we know that this is against the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is called ghafla. And this is a major and bigger disease as compared to ignorance and jahiliya. Jahal you can correct by knowledge, by somebody you can teach, somebody you can provide information. But if somebody who already knows everything and he still is a ignorant person, he still doesn't want to listen. वो हमारे उर्दू में कहते हैं कि सोते को जगाना आसान है, लेकिन जागते को जगाना बड़ा मुश्किल है. The person who is sleeping, you can wake him up. The person who is awake, it's difficult to wake him up. He's already awake. So most of the time we really don't understand because of either ignorance, jahiliya, jahal, or heedlessness, ghafla. So always pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that don't let my heart be in ghafla, in heedlessness. And put your head in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and always do sincere effort that you should not be in a stage of ghafla. Inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help.
I mean, the last question is how to develop yaqeen in the journey of Iman.
Yeah, this is the most important question of today's session. And let me tell you, we all go through, especially the youth. I'm talking to you, my youth, that we all go through sometime situations where we have ups and downs in our iman, in our faith. But I can tell you one thing: if you have a sincere heart and you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with full sincerity to show me the path, show me the right direction, Allah will not let you down. And this is the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That if ever, we always, Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam is asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, show me how you will bring life from death. So we all can have questions. Nothing wrong in that. But for answers, go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with sincere heart. Allah will show you. That's why Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the first thing he did was he did tazkiyah of the qalb. Our iman we say with tongue. Then the second part of our iman is to accept it with the heart. And the third step of iman is that we take action according to that. Most of the time we work on our tongue, the iman, verbally we say, and our action, hardly we work on our heart. Because when you work on your heart, it provides you a mirror that you can see right as right and wrong as wrong. That is called tazkiyah. That is called polishing of the heart. That is called removing the dust from your heart. And that happens with connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. With sincere heart, put your head in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before you go to bed every night and just ask a couple of things. Ya Allah, you are my guide, you are my mentor, you are my master, and you know that with sincerity I want to make sure that I live this life according to your teachings. So please keep me on the right path, show me the right path, give me that yaqeen, the yaqeen that I can see you or I can feel your presence in this dunya. Ya Rabbul Alameen. This is the way, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and having the right sohbah, having the company of people who really can help you through this journey, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah khair, Shahid Rafiq. And that was the end of the today's session. Inshallah, we will continue Surah Al-Araaf next week, inshallah. And we will end with a small dua. Rabbana atayna fid dunya hasanatum wa fil akhirati hasanatum wa qina azaban nar. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wala innal insana lafi khusr illa allazina amanu wa amilus salihat wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allahu Akbar.